Welcome back to the Visionary Life podcast. Today, I'm here with an extra special guest because she's also my business partner, my co-founder in our 90-day business coaching program, and our amazing mastermind that we now have for female entrepreneurs. So welcome, Emily Elliot. Welcome back to the podcast, actually.
Hello, Kelsey. It's always sunshine and rainbows when I get to see you every day, which means I feel like we are manifesting a very aligned life to be so excited to see you every day.
I love it. And yeah, yesterday you and I had 2.5 hours of calls together. We did our LEAP program. We're in week 6 of it. Then we shifted gears into our mastermind. And it's so interesting because I talk to a lot of my friends in the space and they say they feel quite drained after having calls like that back to back. And much as I understand, I also feel like the groups we've created and the people that are inside of them, it's actually so life-giving to be part of these groups. And I often leave feeling so much more fulfilled and inspired than I ever thought possible. How do you feel after being immersed in these communities?
Yeah, I love that question so much. And I completely 100% agree with you that I feel energized, lit up, excited, connected. And this is actually a really fascinating way to take inventory of our life, is to look at how we feel after every single interaction. So, do you feel charged or do you feel drained? And oftentimes, if we look, we can find energy leaks in our life where we are feeling more drained. So I think that's actually a good clue for people. If you listen to someone's podcast or their Instagram story and you feel really good when you're consuming that content, there's a good chance that follow that lead, follow that lead, follow that lead, because it can bring you closer and closer to the people that are meant for you, that are aligned, that are a magnetic match. And I think you and I we've done the work to be aligned in our lives. So we've been attracting people in our groups and mastermind that are beautiful matches for us, hence energizing, uplifting, and feeling great at the end of the day. So all that to say, I feel the exact same way, and I feel totally blessed for that.
It's so interesting that you bring up doing a simple life inventory because I don't think many people do that as much as maybe they could or should in life, like checking their relationships and saying, did I leave that interaction or that coffee date feeling energized or drained? Or each time you walk into work, instead of like turning off your emotions, just checking in, like, how do I feel when I walk into this building? Or when I do this type of project, do I get energy or is my energy drained? So is this something that you do on like an ongoing basis, or does it just kind of happen naturally at this point?
Yeah, I think the closer and closer we get to our intuition, the more we can start to trust that it's taking us the right way. And I think we've been cultured out of trusting our intuition. So it's like, oh, what does my teacher or coach or parent think I should do? But this beautiful magnetic life comes when we honor that feeling in our belly and our heart that says, oh my goodness, there's something there for me. So for me, intuition comes so fast. Like I never doubt anything. I'm like an electrical vortex. I know the second it hits, I know what it means. But for some of us, we're coming to learn and trust what that means. What does it feel like in our body? And what's the opposite? When our intuition is really not working for us, we can get anxiety, we can feel panicked. So this is a muscle, and we're working to cultivate it. And I know you and I really bring this dynamic, beautiful interplay of strategy and energetics. And that's something we're teaching in our mastermind this month is how do you cultivate that muscle of intuition, right? Because once you got it going, you can't turn it off.
Oh, it's such an important muscle to cultivate. And yeah, you mentioned our
Yeah.
mastermind. I know that's something you and I feel very passionate about. And
Mm.
It is the coolest group to be part of because although we are all on separate paths, we have people who are coaches, we have people who are running wellness clinics,
Mm-hmm.
we have people who have been in business multiple years and have been doing this journey solo for so long.
Yeah.
And we come together on a weekly basis to talk not only about business and our goals and where we're going, but we also bring in the lifestyle component and how are you finding balance as a
Mm-hmm.
parent or a caregiver, or how are you finding balance while still working another job or
Yes.
managing your health. And these are all things I know you and I are super passionate about.
Totally.
I'd love to hear from you. What have been some of the biggest benefits of being part of these type of mastermind groups?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
why did you feel so called to create one and bring
Mhm.
our mastermind to life?
Such a gorgeous question. I would say that, you know, they're saying that loneliness is like the new smoking, even just from a basic health point of view. So if we use the health of our body and the health of our business as the same thing, if you're feeling loneliness in your day-to-day, mood and things in your body, of course, that's going to affect the rhythm or the pulsation of your business. So, being connected is going to inject lifeblood and inspiration and joy and happiness. And I know for me, if I'm off, like connection is my medicine. Go to the group, see other humans, have a laugh. Like we always open up our mastermind with like something silly, like, what's a random animal fact or your favorite ice cream flavor? Like just the humanness. We don't need to jump into like, what was your biggest launch yet? We're all
Mm-hmm.
humans. We want to be seen and held and loved. And, you know, that's missing from our world. So the fact that you and I can create that for women like lights my heart on fire. And getting the messages we get after, I so needed that. It's the best part of my week. I remember when we closed off one of our last groups together, people were saying, this cannot be the last day. My heart just is, and we know that we were able to offer impact and value based on those comments. So yes, I would say connection is the lifeblood of everything for vitality in business and life. And I would say that masterminds and groups, hands down, offer portals of possibility. So
Mm-hmm.
when you are in a group, and truly everyone in all our groups truly cares about each other. Like I remember the first day people were offering to go out and fundraise for someone's big vision. They're like, I'll get out there on the streets, like whatever it is, big, small. Um, and so I would say when you're in these devoted spaces, you're always then top of mind. So, if you are the relationship coach, everyone's going to think of you now and refer. And when an opportunity pops up, you're top of mind. So that's just kind of one of the benefits that happens by being in a very devoted container where you're known and loved and seen. How about you, Kelsey? You've also been in a lot of masterminds. What would you say are your big wins and why were you motivated to create this?
Oh, such a good question. Okay, I need to set this up with some context first because when you were initially saying like we start our masterminds with connection and laughing and like getting to the humanness before we get
Yeah,
into maybe the I don't know, like the businessy stuff or the strategy stuff. It
yeah,
actually reminded me of one of my first careers as a sales rep for a health food company. And I remember as I was training, I used to walk into the grocery stores and into the retailer space and I would immediately be like, hey, do you want to buy this? And like I would talk to the buyer, but not do anything personal, not make a true human to human connection. And I would go straight to the sale.
yeah,
And it just felt so void of kindness and a true interaction or building on a true friendship. And I remember my manager pulling me aside once and she's like, you don't need to jump straight into telling them about the promos or asking them to buy something. She's like,
mm,
maybe like watch how your colleagues are doing it. They spent 90% of the conversation just basically getting along and making friends with the person and learning about their dog and their kids and their life, taking them out for coffee, chatting about their hobbies. And then only in the final minute or two, they'd be like, and we've got a really big promo with the company. Would you like to buy? And I
Yeah.
just think that that's such an important skill that we're cultivating in the mastermind too. Like this is
Yes.
a friendship. These are peers that are going to be with you for many years along this journey. It's
Yeah.
okay to crack open and to be yourself and to not always have this facade of like, I'm here for business and everything's fine. We'll just talk about, what's going on in the numbers or the marketing
Yes.
department. And so I think that's an important lesson that I personally have brought into business, but also that we're cultivating in the mastermind. It's like, we are more than just business owners. We are more than just entrepreneurs who make sales and who have great products to market. We're also human beings. We are, again, mothers, caregivers, lovers. Like there's so much else happening. And I just think that's really important. So in addition to,
Yeah.
what you said about the connection piece, I would also say it's the space, the 1 hour a week that you allow yourself to maybe crack open beyond just your to-do list. So I think the tendency as people who have businesses is to have a list and to be like, okay, I've got to record the podcast, I've got to send the email. And we forget that making connections, getting out from behind our computer screen, interacting with people, and like you say, to become top of mind as, the leader in your industry and to be known for what you do, that requires interaction and connection. And I used to think, oh, I can do this all alone. Like I'll just put my head down and work harder than any other person. And I remember waking up one day about 4 years into business and going, oh my God, I don't know anybody else who's an entrepreneur. I'm lonely. I work in this office by myself. I'm not making time to connect. I haven't been to a business conference. I was like, I don't think this is what you're supposed to do. And I ended up booking a Reiki session. And what this Reiki practitioner said to me was that you are not meant to do this alone. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And for me, that was the catalyst of like, I'm not meant to do this business journey alone. And so that was kind of the start of me seeking out different groups and communities to be a part of, and not being afraid to invest in becoming part of a group that was not only going to make me feel less alone, but that was going to connect me with people who were going to, open doors and show me the way forward and actually accelerate my entire journey, because every person who's in a group like a mastermind comes with such a unique skill set. And then you get to become besties with these people over the next 12 months. And you're all there with a common vision of growth and development, but yet you have different businesses and expertises. So you get to like cross-pollinate and make the most beautiful strategic connections and partnerships. And above all, friends. Like I have met people who I now go cycling with. I have met people who I'm now just like constantly DMing ideas with on Instagram. And, I only found those people by taking a leap and saying, I think I should be part of this group. And maybe I belong in this room. And honestly, maybe I don't have to do this alone. Maybe we're not meant to do this alone, even if we are kind of solo online business owners. Maybe we still need quote unquote colleagues. So yeah, those have been the biggest benefits for me. And I said this to you before we started recording, but like, I don't think I would still be in business if I didn't invest in groups and conferences and events, because that's where my big leaps and learnings happen. They never happen while I'm taking like a self-study online course, like sitting in front of my computer,
Oh
like
no.
listening. So Yeah, that's why I so appreciate these groups that are curated, but also have that fun, flexible element to them.
You said something really interesting on top of, I really love, you said create a space in your life for expansion. I loved that. And then the other thing I really enjoyed that you were saying is, I think you and I had a conversation a few weeks back, and you said to me, um, what do you do or say to people on the days that people just want to throw in the towel? They want to give up. And my truest answer, and I am the master at this, is I always reach out to a resource. And when the more people you know, when something comes up in your business or life, you can kind of get that ping moment of like, I actually know someone who can help. So whether that's a tax bill you weren't expecting, I mean, as entrepreneurs, we're professional learners, right? So you're gonna F something up and you're gonna want hands on board, right? And so on the days that you feel like I just want to throw in the towel on this business, I think the ultimate thing you can do is reach out to somebody. And like you said, we're cultured into figure it out yourself, go look on Google, go look in a course. But our best teachers are humans, truly. So I think that if you are looking for some remedies or solutions, if you constantly feel like you want to throw in the towel, find a bigger network of people you can call on when you're having days like that. And I think that's the number one way to get your mind set up when you're having really low days. And I remember I've always had this personality. I will go and find every resource around me, and people are constantly amazed by it. They're like, it's so rare. So I was very scared in naturopathic college to take anatomy. I heard that 30% of people fail. I was one of the people with no science background. I'm like, uh-oh, am I going to be in that percentage? And then I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm going to figure out exactly what I need to do to pass. What are the factors and criteria of people who always pass anatomy? So I scheduled an appointment with the teacher. He used to be a surgeon in Europe, actually. And he sat down and I said, Dr. T, I need to know how to study for this course because I will be in the passing group. I was like, I have anxiety. And he said, Emily, anxiety is really can be a good thing because just enough healthy anxiety means you go and find the strategies to make sure, that you're going to get the most likely positive outcome. So I did what Dr. T said, and I found people who passed anatomy, and I made a little playbook and I passed. So I think sometimes we get shy or nervous asking for resources, but we don't need to. People can practice their own boundaries. People get pleasure from helping other people. So ask yourself, how resourced am I right now? And it's not just about the textbooks or Google or the internet. Like, how resourced are you with humans just like you? So, yeah.
Whoa. I think that hits deep. And I'm assuming for some people listening too, they're kind of nodding along going, wow, like I do rely on Google and self-study courses and Instagram posts, but I don't feel like I have a very expansive network of people. And like you said, anytime you're having these like wavering moments in your life or business, you do reach out to your resources, and that sets you back on track, and that gives you the playbook, for lack of a better word, on what somebody else has done to navigate this situation. And I think that's super admirable, because I'm more the type of person that would be like, don't tell anyone, don't call anyone, figure this out on your own.
Yeah.
But especially as it relates to business per se, I really don't think that's the best way to go. And it's cool to have that mindset of looking around going, I have curated this beautiful group of friends and peers and people who are further along the path and maybe behind me on the path. And everybody has the playbook to something.
Yes.
Why not reach out to them, and why not adopt that mindset of resourcefulness, knowing that if I can just be honest, like, and say, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to know how to study for anatomy, or I don't know how to launch a digital program, but
Yes.
somebody's figure it out. And to tap into the person who does have that wisdom
Yeah.
is such a amazing skill that I think we all could cultivate a little bit more, and getting back to that ability to ask for help
Yeah.
or to reach out when something feels uncertain in your life versus to contract and say, I should just figure this
Beautiful.
out for myself, and don't tell anyone or let anyone in on what I'm going through. And I think
Yes. Yeah.
too, oftentimes we can feel just a little bit unsafe sharing what's going on behind the scenes with some
Yeah.
people in our life. But what I've found from being part of masterminds is, because it is kind of a longer time frame that you're committing to be part of this for, in our case 12 months, so a whole
Mhm.
year, you
Yeah.
really start to get to know people, and
Yeah.
the level of openness that emerges and the trust that develops, it actually ends up being the space where I feel I can like bear it all. And
Yeah.
sometimes we're in tears on a mastermind. Sometimes we're laughing together. And
Yes.
it's like, I haven't even maybe told some of my close friends what's actually happening. But
It's
yet
true.
in this space, everyone is holding space for
Yeah.
an hour. So it is really neat what forms when you commit to showing up week after week, saying we're all here to, to listen, to laugh, to learn together,
Yeah.
with different goals, but similar visions for growth.
Yes. I love that. That's a very potent reflection. And, even in the mastermind, when women come forward and they share something that might have been held in their body as shame, I made this mistake and I can't like deal with the fact that I made a mistake. Shame cannot live on when it's witnessed. Like it lightens the load, right?
Mm,
So these feelings in our body, like guilt or shame, when when someone else can witness them, they start to dissolve more, right? So this is a big part of business, and I think we think it's just metrics and data, and it is, but we also have to do the work to keep our vessel open, because I know even yesterday you and I did a round table. We said, ask us anything about launching a group program, because that's a hot topic right now. People want to launch group programs. They're awesome. And what was cool was to see that we all as humans have shared fears. So I don't know, let's say we talked to 30 women. I'd say 90% of people, the fear is, what if I only get one person? So when you step to this round table and you share your fear, and then you see that 90% of people have it just takes the heaviness off. And that's the word that kept coming up. It just feels so heavy. And we're like, what if we decided that landing your first group program member could be fun instead?
mhm,
And then you started to see the energetics lighten, because when we have these thoughts on repeat and repeat and repeat, our body, like you just said, contracts.
mhm.
So that's a cool question for yourself when you're listening today is, do you really think that big fear or stressor you have, do you really think that you're alone with it? Or do you think a lot of people are going through it? And when you join a mastermind, you might be like, here I was stressing about that, and everyone else around me is too. And it kind of just takes the edge off.
Oh, it's so good. Such a great question to check in
Yeah.
with anytime you're feeling like, am I alone in this? Or I'm just feeling
Yeah.
totally stunted
Yeah.
or stuck. And I think one thing that's really neat about the mastermind that you and I have created is that you bring the mindset piece and always asking questions to dig a little deeper in what's going on behind the scenes. And I
Yeah.
often can come in with the strategy and the marketing, and you would
Yeah.
describe it. Maybe you can actually describe this like the yin and the yang for somebody who's not familiar with that term. Can you
Yeah.
explain that and how we bring the different dynamics?
Yeah, so full credit here to my training in Chinese medicine. I think Chinese medicine just hit the nail on the head. It explains stuff that just is so our world does not understand, in the sense
Yeah.
of allopathic medicine. Um, and just the principles of energetics and how everything works. So you might be able to recognize the yin and the yang symbol. It's got the white and the black. So it's like there is no night without the day, and without the day, there's no night. So they need each other, because if there was no night, we cannot define the day. It would just be forever ongoing. So when we find this beautiful interplay of, these polarities, the world is polarity, like light and dark, hot and cold. When we find that beautiful intersection, that's when we find wholeness, right? So what happens, especially now in business, is we lean really heavily on the yang, which is action, go, strategy, get, push, burn. And then we have women that are so burnt out and get to the point they don't give a flying F about anything because they have nothing left in their body. So when we lean into more balanced energetics, and we can lean into more attraction and beingness and listening and some of these softer skills, the balance starts to strike in a way that the universe opens its ears and listens. So, the best example I've used in our masterminds is when you're in sales. Would you rather buy from the person that's on send mode and go, and then I have this card is red, it's going to go really fast, and then X40, and you're going to fill it with this type of gas, and blah, blah, blah. You're just kind of like, my goodness. Or would you rather the person, so this is more the yin, the pulling back, the listening, and they just get to know you, and they have their listening ears on, and they hear that you really love surfing and you love driving with your best friend and stopping to get a coffee on the way. Like, this is your life. So rather than being on the send mode and giving you all this information you don't give an SHIT about, they're then able to say, Kelsey, I've really loved hearing about what's important to you. And I can really see you in this red car because it's going to have the perfect capabilities for your surfboard. And your best friend, Anna, she's going to enjoy this feature of the seat. And check out these coffee holders. You told me you love stopping for good coffee. Check this out. And it's like, whoa, your need is now fulfilled. So, we need both. We need the ability to pull back and attract and ground and take care of ourselves. And then I also know people in my world that don't have enough yang, which is what you're really great at. Making marketing fun, bringing the strategy. You have so much experience. You have 7 years. You've worked with some of the best companies and people, and you have life experience, and you're just such a wealth of knowledge. So if you're a new entrepreneur and you're like making this massive list of all this stuff you need to learn on your own, working with someone like Kelsey, it's like, I've figured out stuff that works and does it. So you're shaving time and energy off your entrepreneurial journey because you're with one of the best. So that is my understanding of why yin and yang, energetics and strategy, mindset and marketing kind of make this beautiful magic fusion. What do you think of all that, Kelsey?
I love it. And it is the exact representation of like how each Wednesday is structured. Like, we're constantly balancing between someone coming to the table with a question or maybe something that's blocking them in their business or life. And we're really looking at it from like this beautiful, holistic 360-degree approach. And I must say, I have been part of some very male dominated masterminds before, and none of the softer side or the feminine aspect has ever been considered. So it's like you're stuck because you're not doing enough, when in reality, that was not what I needed to hear. And in fact, that sent me into a downward spiral because what I needed was the self-care. I needed to address some things that were going on as a woman, that maybe my male counterparts didn't understand. And so I needed somebody like you at the time to give me perspective and to share that there's actually a different way to run a business, and that we're constantly ebbing and flowing between the yin and the yang. And, it is very helpful to hear both perspectives. And I've
Yes.
loved seeing our group crack open when we bring different ideas to the table when they share a challenge with us, and noticing how like they're literally just like grabbing at both sides. And I think
Yeah.
it's just really important that we are considering all sides of a human being, especially a woman, in
Yes.
considering working through their business challenges or what's going on behind the scenes. So
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
really, really beautifully put, because I think the other thing you're touching on here is that nature, women, humans, we live in seasons. So when you and I show up to the table and like kind of hold space for this group, some people are really in a season of like, Kelsey, let's go. Tell me how to SEO. Tell me. And they're like,
Yes.
let's go. And then 6 weeks later, it's like, pull back. Okay. I
Yeah.
need a breath. And
Mm-hmm.
then they can kind of say, I'm kind of in a season where I'm letting something move through me, or I have a new creative idea. And then I can hold a little more space. So
Yeah.
I think too, is like trusting the seasons of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
when we try and just go 24/7, that's where we run into roadblocks too, because nothing in nature is
Mm-hmm.
straight. Everything's seasonality. And I think we can take a lot of cues from nature and how we run our business and life.
I think that's such a really important consideration, because I've actually noticed in many of the groups that I've previously invested in, not ours, but people will actually disappear from the group when they don't feel like they're in their momentum season. And that's because in many
Yeah.
groups, there is no space for you if you're not working, actively achieving, actively
Yeah.
producing. And so you notice that people retreat because they don't feel like space is being held for them, or they don't feel
Yeah.
like they can show up in a season of, hey, I don't really know what I'm working on right now, or I'm going through that 2-year itch, or I kind of want to burn it all down,
Powerful.
which is why I love what we've created, because people can
Yeah.
actually come into it in a season when they're like, I'm on the rocket ship, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Want to hit the 6-figure launch. And we're like, well, we got you. We've got
Yeah.
you. And then
Yeah.
we also have people come in and they're like, you know what? Things were going well last year. And then shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
And I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I don't even know what I'm focusing on anymore, but I know I still have that little ember that's burning. And we're like, we got you. So it's like so cool
Yeah.
how there is space for you. But truly, I have never seen this in a mastermind before. I've always felt like if you're not producing and showing up with like the biggest win ever, you might as well not be there, because everyone else seems to have their stuff together.
And you and I were like kind of laughing because we're like, even the fact we have female hormones is saying to us, like, yo, you're going to have 2 weeks a month where you feel like fire, and
Yeah.
2 months where you want to Zoom with a blanket on. And
Yes.
it's like, we cannot override nature, right? Which is why you and I even said we invite women, if you're nursing your baby and listening to the
Yes.
mastermind, you are welcome. And, this is pretty raw of me to say, but I felt, I'm not kidding, when I was pregnant twice, that I was not valuable in business. Like
Yep.
making myself feel seen on Zoom, I was just like, I don't feel like I belong here.
Yeah.
That is a really messed up feeling, to feel like you don't belong when you're doing natural things like babies and periods and all those things. And the fact that we can override that complete bullshit brings me inordinate joy, because, like you said, productivity in our society is the only valuable thing. I refuse to believe that, right? Our whole society is created on, the fact that we do have these hormones to like love and nurture and create a society. So do not tell me that other people's dreams have to go on hold because of these parts that make us beautiful and human. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that you said that. I just love, love, love that we can do this differently. You and I have
Mm-hmm.
declared our values. We said our lifestyles are as important as our business. We said it, and we're living it. You and I are living it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've said it that being a woman is welcome and powerful. It's our rocket fuel, like that womanness. So it is such a pleasure to do it differently with you, something that doesn't really exist, and it's working and people are loving it. So yeah.
Why don't we wrap up with giving people like a 30-second overview of what our weekly programming is? Because I'm sure some people listening are like, okay, but yeah, well, what do you do on a weekly basis? So we kind of have like this, I guess it's a monthly rotation where we bring on guest speakers that reflect the values that we've just shared. So, let's talk about how our menstrual cycles actually impact our business. Let's learn from women who have set up the most epic systems so that they can kind of step away in a season where they have other priorities. So we've got people who are going to come on and share their brilliance with us. So that's one of the weeks. And then we're going to alternate.
I love it. Yeah, we're just keeping the like yin and yang topics. We've got some sexy strategy, like how to make your money work for you. What else is coming
Money
up?
mindset. You have taught us so much about little tips and strategies around managing our money mindset and blocks that we might have that could be preventing us about accessing that next level of money or wealth or abundance. And some of the tools you have shared, it's so crazy because people have commented in our group like, hey, I was just doing Emily's money mindset stuff and then this appeared, or then I found, X amount of dollars. And it's been so cool to just see these women working on their money stories. So a lot of credit to you on that topic.
Cleaning out the cobwebs. Does your wallet look like it needs to go to the landfill? Is it all shredded? Do you lose your debit card? And then I think you and I are taking a lot of excitement and pleasure in teaching the principles of sales. We talked about it earlier. Really nurturing relationships, having permission to ask for the sale, not just like throwing it at people. So we have 2 experts coming in before the end of the year as well. And then one more fun one that's going to wrap up our year is what are the characteristics of people who are undeniably lucky? And there's research behind it. So that's going to be really fun too.
And so much more beyond that. I think Emily and I both have so much fun with the programming. It changes every single month. So no 2 months are alike. And as soon as you join the mastermind, you're actually going to get access to the archives of all the amazing trainings that we've already done. So I guess in wrapping up, if somebody wants to join or even just like chat with you and me, we are super active on Instagram. So I would encourage, I'll put both of our Instagram handles in the show notes. So I'd say the best first step is like send Emily or I a DM. Let us know that you are maybe interested in the mastermind. And then we can just chat and see where you're at and what's going on and see if this might be a good fit. Or you can head to kelseyridle.com/mastermind. But yeah, I mean, I think the best first step is just make the connection with Emily or I and see if this is the right space for you.
Awesome.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Emily. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and we can't wait to see everybody in the mastermind. So thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll chat with you soon.
Bye.